What's up, you guys? Welcome back to my channel. I know I have pink hair. It's a little different and I'm kind of obsessed with it. This is a temporary tint. I use the Kristen S Rose Gold Temporary Tint Spray. You can get it at Target. It's super cheap. It's like 12 bucks or something like that. I love this. I will say my roots came out a little more cotton candy and then a little orange, like right where I had just bleached them. But other than that, like, this is so cute and it makes me just feel so sassy. It makes me feel like Frenchie on Grease whenever she like had that accident at beauty school, but I'm like, this was no accident. I did it on purpose and I just love it. Anyways, if you're looking for a cute, fun way to change your hair, highly recommend it. It's fun and washes right out and you can just have pink hair for a little bit. Anyways, you guys, this video was highly requested by quite a few of you actually. I get questions all the time about my contour, my full face of makeup, how I do the glow from within look, and today you're gonna get all of my tips, my tricks, and my entire full face. So without further ado, let's get started. So I went ahead and moisturized and primed my face before this. I went ahead and I added 1 drop of the Wonder Beauty Glow Ahead Illuminating Face Oil into my moisturizer just to give me even more of a glow. And then for primer, I used the e.l.f. Luminous Matte Makeup Primer. I love this primer, especially for a dewy look. Sometimes whenever I have used any kind of primers that are dewy primers, they end up looking really sweaty, if that makes sense. They make my skin look more sweaty and not luminous, and that's really not the look that I'm going for. I don't want to look like I just ran. I want to look like, you know, the sun shining on me and I'm just a golden goddess. So this is really good. I highly recommend it. It mattifies your face but also adds some dewiness to it. It's kind of odd. I don't know how, but I absolutely love it and it was super cheap. So the next step that I do before I start to apply my foundation is I use the Tula Glow and Get It Cooling and Brightening Eye Balm right under my eyes. It just gives my eyes a little bit more of a brighter look. It brightens them up, any kind of like dark circles I might have, any shadows that I might have. Plus, it gets rid of any puffiness pretty quickly. So I just apply this right under my eye. It's a stick, so it goes on really easily. As to creating the glowy look for this summer, I really like to have a brightened under eye. I think that just looks so pretty. It's a really good contrast to the contour and it just makes you look like sun-kissed and ready to go. So I talked about this before in my video and I'm absolutely obsessed with the Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Flawless Filter. Now this is not a foundation, it's not a primer, it's just something I put on under my foundation to make me have a glow within. So I'm just gonna take it and put it on the areas that I would apply highlighter. Just gonna take a soft brush and kind of push that into my skin. I'm not too worried about being perfect with this because it's not a foundation or anything like that. I just want it to really give me an extra glow. For foundation, I'm using the Anastasia Beverly Hills Luminous Foundation. I love this foundation. The coverage is really good, but it's also buildable, so it's not going to go on and cover up all of the extra steps you've done to create that glowy look. Whenever I'm doing a look like this, I don't want my foundation to be something that is going to put so much coverage that it's like, why did I even do all those extra steps to create this glow? I want it to look like my skin is just glowing and just so beautiful. So for the under eye concealer, I'm using the Makeup Forever Ultra HD Concealer. This is like my ride or die. I use this every time I do my makeup. I've used a ton of different concealers and this is the only one that I've ever found that actually lasts all day without creasing and creating any kind of breakage underneath my eye. It brightens it. You can tell that the shade of concealer I use is so much lighter than my skin because I use it more of like a highlight to brighten my eye more than to conceal dark circles. So when I'm applying the concealer, I'm just going to apply it right here to the inner corner and bring it down. I'm going to press that in with my beauty sponge, bring it down like under my eye and just press it in. Okay, so to contour, I'm going to go ahead and take my Tarte Park Avenue Princess palette. I have so many different contour palettes and this is just my go-to. Like, I have found nothing else that I love as much as I love this palette. I'm taking my Morphe M405 contour brush and I just dipped it into my contour shade. This is where I get a lot of questions about contouring. A lot of you reach out to me, you're like, how do you contour? I don't understand it. What does it mean? What's the guidelines? And everybody's face is different. Your faces are shaped different. There's heart-shaped faces, there are round faces, there's all different kinds of faces. And so there's different ways to contour. But the way that I always look at it is I just pay attention to the shadows of my face. And I have a guideline that I go by. So I take my brush, and I'll put it to where my ear begins, right here. And then I'll make it to where it ends on the corner of my mouth. Now, I'm not going to be taking my contour line and going all the way down to the corner of my mouth. I'm going to keep it about an inch. Not very long at all. That way it blends in. You don't want to just put so much product on to where you can't blend it in. I'm actually going to go ahead and just know that that is going to be the line that I create. And keep it right there. I'm using a very soft hand, and you're always going to go up. Don't bring it down, because once you bring it down, that's going to create a look of just like your face drooping instead of lifting it, because you're going to want to have that lifted look. I try not to make the weirdest faces whenever I'm doing this, because if you're making faces while you're contouring, you're not going to be going with the natural contouring of your face. So you want to keep a neutral face as much as possible. Don't make any like weird like faces or anything like that. I used to do these things and I realized my contour just didn't look right. But I want it to look more natural. I don't want it to look so much like, whoa, like what you doing with your makeup? That looks crazy. You're basically just wanting to go in and accentuate those natural shadows and the natural contouring that you do have in your face, instead of trying to create something so artificial to where it just looks a hot mess. Same thing on the other side. Now when it comes to contouring your forehead, this is where everyone is also very different. If you'll notice, I have a very small forehead. I call it a two head because it's literally just the size of two of my fingers. It's so small, there's no reason for me to make it appear smaller. So what I do for that is I just focus on the sides of my forehead right here, just to bronze them up more so than making them look any smaller. Now, if you were wanting your forehead to appear smaller, you would bring it all the way across the top here, but blend it in, and it's going to create a shadow to where it looks like your forehead is smaller, if that's something that you're wanting to do. But if you got a big forehead, girl, you love that big forehead. I love my little forehead. It doesn't matter, we're all different. For the summertime, my favorite blush to use is a coral blush. I think it adds such a beautiful sun-kissed look. It really accentuates any kind of contour that you've done. It brings out more of just that glowy look, and I absolutely love anything coral right now. Like, I am obsessed. I'm going to be taking the Milani Coral Cove blush. This is one of my favorites. It's so pretty, so pigmented, and it lasts a long time. So another thing whenever you are applying your blush is not to make two crazy faces. Now, I will make kind of a smirky face just to accentuate the apples of my cheeks. That way I know it's going on in the right places, but I try not to make two crazy faces. So the next step is something that I actually have been incorporating a little more recently to my glowy look. I picked up the Jaclyn Cosmetics Brighten Up Luminous Powder. This is not a highlighter. This is just a luminous powder, but it's not going to make you look like you're a shiny piece of gold. It's just going to add this beautiful glow within. So if you feel like once you've got all your foundation on and your blush and everything and you're still missing a little bit of glow, this adds like the perfect amount of glow. So I will put this on the areas that I would put my highlight before I put my highlight on, and it's just beautiful. So I'm going to pick up my Morphe M438 brush. I'm just going to dip into this powder, not take a lot at all, and then we're just going to put it on my cheeks. I'm going to put it on the tip of my nose, down my nose here, up into my forehead. It adds just such a perfect little glow. I love it. I'm going to pick up my Becca Cosmetics highlighter in Opal, one of my favorites. It is so buttery and it goes on like heaven. I'm not even kidding. I have so many highlighters and I just always go back to this one. I'm taking that same Morphe M438 brush, just tapping it in. I'm going to go ahead and tap off any excess. And then I'm just going to go right on top of my cheekbones. Now, this is where I use an extremely light hand with this. And I start to melt it into the corner of my mouth. I use a super light hand with this though, because do you see how blinding it is? It is so bright. So if you use a really harsh hand, it's going to probably appear a little more like you just sprayed yourself with glitter than an actual just highlight. Same on the other side. As I'm bringing it down to the corner of my mouth here, I'm lightening up my hand so much. Like I'm barely even touching my face. I like to put some on the end of my nose here. And right on my Cupid's bow, just to accentuate my lips. I'm going to set my face with the Morphe Luminous Setting Spray. This setting spray smells so good and it adds just a perfect amount a finishing glow for this whole look. Alright you guys, I'm going to pop on some eyeshadow and I will be right back. Alright you guys, so this is my final look for my summer bronzy, glowy, dewy look. I just love it. It's super easy. It's really not that hard. I'll make sure to list all of the products that I used down below in the description box. If you guys liked this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, be kind to others, be kind to yourself, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!